Hello everyone and welcome to this episode, the LnD Cowork One of the Women Talking About Learning podcast. My name is Andrew Jacobs. And we're live. Well, not quite. We're recording live. This episode was recorded at an event, LnD Cowork, as the title suggests, that was hosted in Brighton last week. For those who don't know, LnD Cowork is a place where learning and development, HR and OD professionals can work in the company of other fellow professionals, but on their own work. There's no charge to attend, although you might have to pay for coffee and cake, and there was very good cake last week. This was the first LnD Cowork since lockdown was lifted in the UK, and I have to admit, I wasn't sure how many people were going to come along. There were, in the end, I think if I recall, 9 people, of which 2 were men and 7 were women. So, with so many female participants, it seemed sensible to speak to some of them about what they thought about LnD Cowork. I'm delighted to say that Gaelle, Vanessa, Jo and Linda put some time in to tell us. As I said, this was recorded live. That means there's background noise and all the other associated things that you get when you're recording live. This is Women Talking About Learning. This is Gaelle, Vanessa, Jo and Linda talking about LnD Cowork.
I've been working from home for 8 years and I really like the energy of meeting with real people. It's really inspiring. You've got people from different backgrounds and I do both LnD Cowork London and LnD Cowork Brighton. That's how much I like it. And yeah, I found a lot of energy for work, a lot of inspiration. It gave me creativity. Normally, it's a great place to have a coffee and you always have new people. You also have familiar faces. And yeah, always enjoyed meeting LnD people. They're really interesting people.
So my name is Vanessa Deroo and I am an LnD specialist. I came to see the people I interact with on Twitter. I haven't seen them in about 2 years. Here, actually, it was the last event I did just before lockdown, and now I'm back here, and I'm very happy to be here.
Joanne Williams, independent HR consultant. I sit on the Sussex CIPD committee as the treasurer, and Neil had posted this, and as a fellow sort of CIPD committee member, I thought it would be really good to support him, not knowing how many people would be out due to sort of the last couple of years. And also it was an opportunity for me to get out and be amongst some sort of fellow professionals when working from home for the last 2 years has meant I haven't got out as much. Well, I haven't worked solidly from home because I've worked in the NHS. So I've actually been on site during some of the pandemic, but certainly more recently, I've been at home and it was an opportunity to get out.
Okay, I'm Linda Gent and I run my own consultancy business called Ashfold Consulting Limited. I'm here to join with my colleagues after many long months of sitting in isolation at home, and this is my first foray into the LnD co-working, and it's fascinating. I've done very little work today, but lots of talking, which has been good.
Well, today is our first face-to-face back in 2 years, and there's a bit of excitement, I have to be honest. There's even a person, we didn't even bring a computer, just too excited to come and have a chat. It was very interesting to restart it after 2 years of doing it on Zoom. We were a bit worried that nobody will turn up and it will be just Neil and I, but it's not. We have a full room. We're on, quite a few people have turned up today. And definitely eager to talk. Not a lot of working is happening, but it's always an option. I just want to precise it. It's called co-work for a reason. You can take calls. It's always in venues where you can you've got multiple tables, so you can gather either at the main table and have a little bit of a chat, or you've got like quieter corners, so it's proper co-working space, and you can have a good coffee, very important. And so it's not massively different from what it was before. I guess the spirit is slightly different today. It's a little bit exciting because we haven't seen each other so close in 3D for such a long time.
It is my first one. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. I've been really surprised at the constant turnout and how many people have turned up today. It's been a great opportunity to sort of link with people. It's been really, really relaxed. We're not necessarily getting much work done, but it's been really relaxed, and it feels a bit like, those coffee cooler moments or the breakout at a conference when you get chatting to somebody. You find out that you've got something in common with them. Or actually, it's not even 7 degrees of separation, is it? It's a couple of degrees of separation. And you're making links with people that are professionally really good at their game. And you never know when you might need to pass some work on to somebody else, refer to them, or just ask them for their support. And I just think, being at something like this, if it helps build those relationships and you're just able to ping somebody a LinkedIn and saying, have you come across this? Can I pick your brains for 5 minutes? Is really good. It's also been an opportunity to maybe, I'm going to use the word tap somebody on the shoulder, which is probably the polite version of what I've done today, to try and see if somebody else would like to join the CIPD committee, which for Sussex is really active, really growing, and it would be fantastic if we had some more committee members across the boards. And for me, I think one of the things we're missing on that committee is some of the diversity. So
my first one. It's lovely to meet up with people and talk some like-minded stuff and not so like-minded stuff, and bring some challenge. So today we started talking about, so I teach on the CIPD programme, and we were talking about some of my lessons in the last week, which was about diversity and inclusion, actually, and a bit of a hangover from International Women's Day, talking about breaking the bias within the HR field. So it's good to re-debate those things, and always learning different views from people and widening your own scope of vision is good.
Just once, actually. Yeah, the fated March 2021. I miss face-to-face, like most of us, I think. And I like interacted with all the people who here. They always have very good insight, very good stories. I'm still quite new in the LnD world. I've been working in the training world for almost 4 years, so I'm still kind of, baby on here. And it's great to interact with people who've been in this space for a long time. So, yeah, and learn from them.
How do you measure value? Wow. Doing something different. Reconnecting with people face to face is always valuable, I think. Not so easy to measure the value of that, actually. Immediately, and actually even over a short period of time. But yeah, of course, always valuable to meet people you know and meet people you don't know.
I think because it's interesting. I made myself the same comment actually on the way here. And I wonder if it's because it's hard to quantify the value that you get out of it. And in the way that, how do you value, chatting about a software? So Niall and I, we talked about Canva actually 2 years ago. And I got him into Canva, and we just talked about Audacity. So how is it going to fit into my practice? How is it going to benefit? I know it will in some way, or I get ideas about, what is talked about in the industry, but it's not quantifiable. However, if you look at, for example, people in business, they will tell you, you have to dedicate your time into, what's measurable. So, how much output. And that is not a measurable output. It's a mental health benefit. It's this gray zone that's not necessarily quantifiable. To go back to your question, is that I think the lack of quantifying is probably more appealing to, or appealing, no, but I think men are always a little bit scared of wasting time or not having a return on investment, where the women can probably see past this line. Maybe. I don't know. It's my guess.
Yeah, you're right. There are probably, I think there's been about 8 females, hasn't there, and two guys. So in terms of gender diversity, which is obviously only one, I'm the only obviously black female. There's been somebody who's been French, so no disabled people, nobody that I could say was LGBTQ plus. But in terms of the gender split, I think reality is certainly at maybe the lower grades of the profession, people are female in the main who join the HR profession, and certainly at that beginning stage of your career, you haven't decided to specialise whether you're going to go into LnD or be an HR generalist, or whether actually you're even going to stick at HR when LnD as a career. Because to be perfectly honest, a lot of the people who are coming through, if I also look at it, age-wise, it hasn't been full of younger people. It's sort of been in that terms of that demographic. People have more of a portfolio career now. But in terms of the gender, I think there is still some of that history around more people seem to be female in the career. I don't know, maybe there's something about the sociability. It seems to be more females that go out and grab a coffee with their colleagues. If I look in the co-working space, again, there are more females. There's a couple of guys here, but there's more females. So, maybe we need that group and that coffee.
I think it's quite interesting. I don't know if it's because I naturally seek women in the field, but I was under the impression there were way more women in the field than there were men. So it's quite interesting that you say that for you is the opposite. I don't know, maybe there's a sense of the space is maybe safe for women to come, and it's small and it's with people they probably know or probably interacted with online, so there's this sense of, I'm not into this weird unknown place with weird people that I don't know. So maybe that's why.
I think demographics in any field is fascinating. And I was speaking with my granddaughter. She was staying with us for a few days over half term, and we were talking about how she might introduce herself when she goes into senior school. And her first thing was, apart from being a bit nervous about it and worrying about not making friends, she said, I said, so what would you say if somebody said to you, what do you want to be when you leave school? And she'll say, whatever it is they say girls can't do. We didn't quite get to expand on that, but I think that's a fascinating mindset that she's got. And when you consider how people are drawn into certain fields, there's lots of discussion around that now, in terms of why is there more men than women in the digital space, and how can you change that. There's also recognition in terms of world leaders actually about the difference that they make. So lots of discussion around Jacinda Ardern and her way of managing what's gone on in her country versus let's not talk about Putin, but versus the male leaders in the world, and how they play out differently. And I think that it is important to recognise that we bring different skills, so long as you don't stereotype them. That's the important piece for me. So
already very interesting to hear various stories of where people are in terms of working. And just seeing faces. It's very good for my mental well-being, especially I think for most of us working in corporate spaces. We've been working behind a screen on Zoom for 2 years. And it's good to interact with people and see people in real life in 4Ds rather than trying to lip read on a Zoom screen as well. So, yeah.
I would definitely encourage them to come. For me, it really gave me confidence, gave me a great PLN, a great network. It's easy. You can come for 10 minutes or the whole day. You can set an intention. I always have in the back of my mind something I want to talk about with people. Or you can just dip in and dip out of other people's conversations. So it's very flexible. It's free. So definitely a very good place to work, and always lovely people.
I'd love to. Yeah, it's great to, as I say, reconnect with people, but also have no agenda, actually, and think about, what's on your mind, how can you discuss those things, what do you want to get out of the day, even if you don't, get out what you wanted to. Actually, it's been that valuable experience of just meeting with new people and expressing new ideas and allowing that to reflect and absorb.
Yeah, I've really, really enjoyed it. It's given me an excuse to get some of my steps in. So I've got about 5,000 steps in walking down here with a computer on my back. It's a beautiful day. Really good coffee, actually. So I might pop in another time. And as I say, it's about building some of those relationships. And just hearing what everybody else is dealing with at the moment, and knowing that you're not going insane when you've got a client who says something to you and you think, hey, and actually we're all saying the same thing. So today there's been quite a lot of talk about sort of mediation, for example, and grievances and investigations, which is I'm heavily involved in some of those, and as are other people. So it's been really interesting to share that. And I think the good thing about sort of joining these things, it's like anything, isn't it? It's sometimes you just need to share some of your issues like you do at work on a general basis. And I think I said earlier, sometimes you just want to know you're not going mad and that what you've just thought or said is correct. And again, when you're on your own, it's really difficult to have somebody else to back that up. So just having that to somebody else to say, no, you're not going mad, you were right, is really reassuring. Again, after the last couple of years we've had, where I think everything, I just think, oh, am I going mad?
It's a very good atmosphere. It's very, very friendly, and there's no hierarchy. Again, you can have started in LnD like an hour ago and come here and be welcomed and be listened to, and sharing ideas with people who've been in the space for like 20 years or people who are very, senior in it. Just great to meet new people in a non-work space as well. People who are not your direct colleagues, as much as you love them. And there's a big variety as well. I noticed there's a lot of people who are self-employed or freelancing, or they do a lot of consulting alongside the people who work, in a company. So yeah, for the diversity and the variety.
We are still mostly online, and we will definitely stay online. An element of it. So LnD Cowork Brighton was the first one to start again, and London, for example, is going to be online for a little longer, and probably resume both face-to-face. We're also exploring hybrid, not really sure how it's going to function yet. So there are options for local people in the UK, because I think there is LnD Cowork in Scotland now. So I think we've got Manchester, Birmingham, London, Brighton, Edinburgh, and a couple of other locations. I apologize if I've missed them. But there are also the online version that's open to all, and they're hosted by the London host, so it might be called London, but they're really open to everybody.
I strongly suggest going to an LnD Cowork event if you can. It's a great way to make connections and develop relationships with other people in the people and learning space. Of course, you'll find all the details about LnD Cowork in the show notes, along with links to all of our guests' LinkedIn profiles. I'm really delighted that Gaelle, Linda, Joanne and Vanessa put themselves forward to record for this episode. They didn't know we were going to do it. We just turned up with a microphone and said, "Do you want to record?" They gallantly said yes. We're recording again this week and next, so if you've got a burning topic that you want to talk through with us, then please do let us know. All the details, as always, are in the show notes. Once again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again soon.